Good day and welcome to the COVID-19 update for the Town of Pembroke. Today is March 17th, 2021. I'm your moderator, Donna Rodriguez, and today I am joined by Bill Chenard, Gretchen Emmetts, Erin and Cheryl Larson, all from the Town of Pembroke. Thank you everybody for being here today. We really appreciate your time.
Pleasure to be here.
So, there's been so much that's happened over the last month since we last talked with all of you and other members of your team. I'd like to just start off, Bill. You've got a lot of information to give us an update as kind of an overview. If you wouldn't mind just giving us an update on what's going on in the town and maybe the high points as well as some of the things that you're still keeping an eye on.
Certainly. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so everyone can see what's going on there. It's important that we, just as a side note, we stay somewhat vigilant still as we work toward vaccinations. Our case load is still high, as you can see. February was our third highest month for count. March is tracking along those lines. We're already at 101 cases of the 1,405 cases we've had since the pandemic began. I will note, if you look at the orange dot there, those are the total number of cases through November. Since that time, we're tracking, two of those months or individual months were above that, and we're still tracking on a count that we're not anywhere near when this started. So you can see from March at 8 through the summer months where we, our high was 51 in April, but then it slowed down during the summer months, July with 5, August with 13, September with 20. February with 199 is still an indicator that it's out there. It's still contagious. People are still getting it. I would implore people to still be vigilant. Make sure you wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands as much as you can. If you can't wash your hands, go ahead and use hand sanitizer. So I want to talk just briefly about some vaccination clinics. We held one last week. We were able to get 100 doses for our school teachers. That's very important as we move students back into our schools. We've been Natick, and I'll let the superintendent talk to that, but we've had a hybrid model all along. And so students have been in and out, but as we move more students back into the schools more full time, it's important to make sure that our teachers are vaccinated. So I know many of them have worked hard to get vaccinations on their own, and I applaud them for doing that. Everybody certainly took advantage of the opportunity last Friday. We had people sign up very, very quickly when we were able to announce that. This week, Monday through today, we're doing a housing authority program in seniors with 200 doses. And we're going to continue as, vaccination supply is extremely limited, but whenever we can get it, we're going to continue these programs, and we're going to continue to fight for that. However, there are other ways to get it. You can use the state's website at VaxFinder, that's VAX Finder.mass.gov. You can go ahead and put your zip code right in there and hit search. It will actually, the program that the state recently rolled out will actually allow you to put your name on a waiting list. And they will send you a text, an email, voicemail, which however you prefer, when you do when the vaccine becomes available to you. I know it seems to be working really well. I've heard very positive feedback about the program. And I know several people who have actually received notification that they have an appointment. You have 24 hours once you receive that notification to accept that appointment. I would argue that put your name on the list and see what happens. And in the meantime, continue to look at the CVSs, the Walgreens, the other, private suppliers out there, which have been very successful for people getting the vaccination. So also use the town's website. We update the website every single day about our counts, and anytime the Commonwealth updates information, we include links. I could give you the whole link to the individual page, but the fastest way to get there is just do the pembroke-ma.gov. And I put a big blue arrow pointing to the COVID-19 vaccination information. It's the big red blob, and that will take you right to that information. It will not only give you the updates for the town, but link you to some of the state programs that are out there. And then vaccination set aside days for teachers, very important. Obviously, this is a state program that they're rolling out March 27th, April 3rd, April 10th, and April 11th. Teachers, they're setting aside those days, a significant number of vaccine doses for K through 12 staff. Early, childhood educate is at the 7 mass vaccination sites. I know they're not convenient to Pembroke, but if you can get there and you haven't had your vaccination, it's an opportunity for our educators. Just a quick note about town meeting planning. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I know we have limited time this morning, but we are looking at several items regarding our town meeting. Our town meeting is scheduled for May 15th. With COVID, though that may change, but the town is continuing to work with our partners, which one of our major partners is PACTV. So, thank you for that and all that you do for us. So that's all I had. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share at this point. And Donna, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer anything.
Absolutely, Bill. Thank you so much for that update. That was so concise, and there's a lot clearly going on. A couple of questions for you. I know that you are referring everybody to vaxfinder.mass.gov, and that did roll out last week and gives folks the opportunity to sign up online and be then contacted directly. So hopefully that's going to be saving a lot of the confusion that people were having before. For somebody who doesn't have a computer, residents who might need support and help getting to a website, is there a department in town that they can call to support them in registering?
So certainly there is. For seniors, definitely the Council on Aging has been an unbelievable resource during this, and they can help you that. Or you can call my office, and we're happy to help you also. If you don't have a computer, we'll make sure you can get signed up, or you can call 211, which also will link you into that program if you want to attempt that and do that directly yourself.
And another really wonderful point you made is, in addition to going to the state website, there are options through CVS, through Walgreens, and I know some of the local health groups have been scheduling appointments or scheduling vaccine opportunities for patients who are registered with them. So if you're with a health center, it's also worth giving them a call just to see if they have an option, because as things are getting so much better with getting access to vaccines, it still is a little complicated sometimes in getting your appointments, but we're getting there.
We are.
Thank you so much, Bill. So now I'm going to turn to Gretchen. And Bill mentioned that, if there are seniors in town and folks who need some support in being able to register, the Council on Aging is a great place to call. And Gretchen, as the director of the Council on Aging, could you give us an update on how our seniors in Pembroke are doing with getting registered for vaccines, and maybe what some of the common questions that you're receiving at your office from folks?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on today. So we had two different groups. Obviously, we had the 75 or older group, and then we had the 65 or older group. The 75 or older group, when we first started making calls back probably in the early fall, we started taking information from them. They gave us their information for health, their address, their middle initials, so that as soon as we were able to get a clinic, if we were, which it's always a fluid situation with vaccines, we would already have that information in hand. So we went from 500 seniors that called and signed up with us, and now I think we're about 30 residents that are 75 or older that still need to be vaccinated that signed up with us. For our 65 to 74 set, we're just actually trying to get to them right now. Hopefully we'll get more vaccines. We do find that some of them are more computer literate, so they're able to do that. And we actually did partner with some teachers when they were on break through Erin, and they were able to take some teachers up. The teachers took some seniors up to Gillette and were able to get vaccinated. And I think they just had their second vaccination yesterday, which was a win-win situation. The seniors loved being with the teachers, and I think vice versa with the teachers. So we're trying to use every tool we absolutely have, but we are finding that a lot of the seniors are being vaccinated by their local doctors' offices, and I have to really give a shout out to Brigham and Women's and South Shore Medical, as they are calling their clients on a regular basis and getting them vaccinated. So that really took a big load off my mind, because we were so worried on how we were going to be able to get vaccinations since small towns weren't getting any.
And you guys have been incredibly creative with everything you've been doing, and I love hearing, about reaching out with the teachers and finding partners to be able to go for vaccinations. And you were really meeting two groups of people's needs at the time. What are some of the biggest questions that you are having right now from residents and members of the Council on Aging, whether it be vaccinations, whether it be, next steps? What are some of the things that are hot topics for folks?
So hot topics are those who still need a vaccination. Mm-hmm. What do they do? And we recommend exactly what Bill recommended. If we have you already on our list that you can't do it, we'll help you. We do recommend they call 211. I have to say that the pre-registration tool has already worked really well for a couple of people, and they've received calls. But you have to realize that those are for the big mass sites. A lot of people are unwilling because they're nervous to go that far. And so that's why we've been trying to get as many clinics or vaccinations here as we can. We finished we had one here on Monday for 100 for their second dose. A few weeks ago, we had one here for 50 for their first dose. We're hoping to have another one here maybe this week if we possibly can, as long as things go smoothly. So we're trying to do as much as we can that way. And then the other question is when are we going to be open? Currently, I don't see that happening until the fall on a regular basis. We are open for programs there at the Council on Aging for a certain amount of people. So I have exercise every day. It's limited to 6 people. I have different programs that are also limited to 6 to 8 people. Only 2 programs a day, and you have to pre-register for it. And when you come in, we ask you all the questions, the house questions and protocols, so we can still have a trace sheet. So we're trying to do what we can. We're doing a ton of grab-and-go meals. We actually cooked 70 pounds of corned beef and cabbage this past Friday for 65 seniors, so they could have a grab-and-go St. Patrick's Day meal. And we have more coming up. But the question is when will we be able to see you? And I do have to say, we had got a grant through the COVID funds last fall, and we received 70 iPads fully set up and staffed. And so now people are able to jump on those iPads and see each other via chat rooms. So, which is kind of nice. That's not as complicated as Zoom for them maybe to see their friends. And then there's lots of games and things like that. We have 20 that are veteran specific, and 50 of them are senior specific, and they're really enjoying them.
That's, again, you've just been so creative in being able to serve the needs of folks in the town. It's so nice to hear all of these stories. And I would be remiss if I did not say Happy St. Patrick's Day. I do see you with us in green, and after delivering so many wonderful meals to folks. So thank you so much for your update. I'd like to move on to Erin Obie, Superintendent of Plymouth Public Schools. There's been a lot of movement with the schools right now, too, in addition to teachers having opportunities for vaccinations. Can you give us an update on what's happening with the schools right now, and what families and residents and students can be expecting over the next few weeks?
Sure. It is a big week in Pembroke Public Schools. We are welcoming our first phase of students back for 4 days of in-person learning. So starting yesterday, students in grades 2, 3, 8, 11, and 12 started joining us for 4 days of instruction Tuesday through Friday. Our second phase of students will be joining us the week of March 29th. And again, that's the remaining grades 4, 5, 6, grade 7, grades 9, and grades 10. As Bill mentioned in his piece, we have been in a hybrid model since the beginning of the school year, and that entails 2 days of in-person learning for the bulk of our students and 3 days or 2.5 days of at-home learning. This week transitions us to the 4 days of in-person learning for that first group, as well as maintaining that remote option, remote schedule on Mondays for folks. If you've been listening to what's happening at the state level, many folks have heard the Commissioner of Education, Jeff Riley, as well as the governor, talk about getting students in for 5 days of in-person learning. So I'm happy to report that starting on April 5th, Pembroke students in all grades will be reporting for 5 days of in-person learning. Again, bringing students back into the classroom at less than 6 feet of spacing does create some logistical challenges for us when we're talking about contact tracing, as well as maintaining those 6 feet of spacing when students are removing their masks to eat or for mask breaks. But our teachers and school staff have been overwhelmingly supportive and collaborative and are really, the heroes in this whole thing. They have been thinking outside the box since March 13th of last year to the benefit of our students and our families. And I think, having students back in person yesterday for the first time for some of our folks felt like the first day of school. And there was that energy in a lot of our buildings. I know that at the high school, our teachers lined up to welcome our juniors and seniors back, singing songs and holding signs, welcoming the class of 2021. So I think this is a great signs of what the spring holds for us, in some sense of what the new normalcy is. As far as case data for us, I know Bill did share what the town looks like. From a school perspective, our student and staff case data has been consistently low since the start of the school year. So for our first day of school, September 14th through now, we've had 172 student cases. That's in a student body of just under 2,600. So that is a very, very low incidence rate. We've had 30 staff members over the course of the year test positive. In all of those instances, no student or staff positive has been traced to school-based transmission or spread. So again, anyone that hears our Health Agent Lisa Cullity talk often hears her talk about community spread or household spread, but we can say with confidence that there has been no school-based spread in any of those instances. So we look forward to continuing that trend here and getting our students back to learning in person for a full spring of learning here in Pembroke.
So tell me, what were the students' reactions when they came in and the teachers were standing and singing yesterday?
They were so excited. I mean, it was really kind of bittersweet to see, again, most of our juniors and seniors drive to school, and that parking lot has been, at half capacity, if not less, for the bulk of the school year. To see that parking lot full was the first sign that school was in session, and there was a lot of tears. I think our seniors are happy to be having some sort of a senior year experience with all of their peers. Again, we get tons of questions about what will prom look like? Will there be a prom? Is there going to be this or is there going to be that? And there are still some unknowns out there. But I think getting our kids back into the building and to have that traditional spring of senior year experience was an amazing first step.
Absolutely. And I imagine, in addition to what's going to be happening the rest of the year, there are other questions. What are some of the common questions that you're finding from families, from teachers, from students?
So from families, we get mostly questions around quarantining. What happens, if my student needs to quarantine, how are they going to get instruction? So at the elementary level, if a student in an elementary or a staff member classroom tests positive, that entire classroom switches to remote. That has been our practice since the beginning of school, just because there's so much movement within that classroom over the course of the day, and those students stay together for the entire school day. In that instance, it's pretty much a seamless transition. The entire class flips to remote. The teacher stays with those students. It's an experience similar to what their Mondays have looked like for the school year. At the secondary level, it's a little bit more challenging as students move at the middle school between 7 different classes, at the high school between anywhere from 5 and 7 classes. So if you have a student that has the need to quarantine, whether someone else in the class has been positive or someone in their family has been positive, the assignments for those students are really asynchronous, so work that's done on your own through our remote platform, but an opportunity for those students to check in with educators over the course of the day, whether it be for general support in something like math or science or social studies, or course specific with their AP calculus teacher. Those are options for students over the course of their days at home. What we have seen from families, I think when you first hear about quarantine, you're like, oh my goodness, my child's going to miss 10 days of in-person instruction. What we've seen over the course of this school year with families that have needed to quarantine is that students are missing anywhere from 4 to 6 days of school based off of the notification of the close contact. There's almost always a weekend. We have that remote Monday option in there. So it's the 4 days of missed instruction is a lot. It's not as dire as the 10 days when you're first starting to think about it. So again, our teachers have been amazing in meeting families where they're at. The amount of support they're providing for students that are at home learning and need additional support has been far beyond my expectations. And it's a testament to our teachers really looking out to do what's in the best interest of all of our kids.
Thank you so much. And it sounds like because this has been a year, you have so many routines in place, and you're able to really adapt quickly for any individual classroom, student, family needs, as well as teachers. So thank you for the update, and really excited to hear everybody's going back. It's wonderful to see, and I know the kids are enjoying it too. Which leads me to Cheryl Larson, your school psychologist. In addition to, as you addressed, Erin, the impacts on all of our children and our families when it came to the at-home learning. There's also, as we all know, clearly social and emotional impacts. Cheryl, would you like to talk to that and how you're supporting your students and families in Pembroke?
Sure. I just want to echo what Erin has been saying about our teachers. Not only are they juggling the learning needs of our students, but the social emotional health is also playing a really prominent role here at school. And there is a variety of ways that they are trying to let kids know that they are safe and they belong here in the building. There is things like responsive classroom morning meetings every day here for our elementary level students. And so many teachers are going above and beyond to personally connect with students, to engage and build the relationship, because it has been a really strange year.
Where do you, what resources do you typically recommend for families if they're finding that their child's behavior is changing? Maybe they might be a little nervous about going back to school full time, or they're very, or they might be having trouble with the remote learning. What are your recommendations to parents?
That's a really, really good question. I think with the kids coming back, we're all very excited and it's a positive change, but we have to remember that it is still another change for these kids and parents. And although we're excited, change is stressful. So coming back from a hybrid model to full learning is going to take time. We're going to see changes in behavior and moods. We're probably going to be hearing more worries and concerns just because it is a change. First and foremost, the family should know that they can communicate these things to either their teachers or their guidance counselors so that the door is open for us here at school to know what's going on. I think just having that understanding that a particular student is struggling in a way is helpful for teachers, because we don't necessarily always pick it up here in the building. So communication with the school is really important. We've also talked with families about different resources such as reaching out and finding outside providers. Many providers are offering telehealth counseling, which makes it easier to get to those appointments and is a little bit easier to fit into your schedule. So I know that the school counselors at each building are able to provide names of outside counselors that would fit your insurance type and maybe the specialty or area that you're seeking help for. But I think really reaching out and asking for help, not trying to figure this new change, this new normal, all on your own, is really important for families to know that we're here and we are wanting to help everyone.
And that's great advice, and you're such a wonderful resource, clearly, in the school system. And as you said, this entire past year has been about teamwork. And it's not just what's happening in school, it's what's happening at home. So it's the teachers, it's the parents, it's the school system working together. So there's no shame in asking for help or support. And the earlier we can notice anything in our children that might need extra support, that's when we should pick up the phone or send an email.
That's right. And that communication helps learning so much when there's that open communication. We can really meet the students where they're at, and we don't have to guess.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I'm sure everybody's really going to enjoy, especially as it's getting warmer, being back in school, being out, being able to socialize with their friends, as well as, being back into their routines at school. So it's really exciting to see this start to happen around our region. We only have a few minutes left, believe it or not, in the show. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to go back to Bill and ask Bill, first and foremost, do you have any final comments that you would like to add in any of the areas that we talked about today, or anything additional that you'd like to bring up?
Well, certainly there's one comment I want to make. The pandemic has been incredibly challenging for certain groups of town employees, and I just want to take a moment to thank those folks, because families are out there struggling, students at home doing hybrid learning, our Council on Aging, our Board of Health employees, especially our police and fire employees. They've been there and supporting residents of this community during this pandemic. I just want to thank them. I know how challenging that can be. I've seen the expressions on their faces when they're have to step out for a phone call because a spouse is struggling with hybrid learning. And the last group is our schools. I don't know how they do that. We struggle as adults with Zoom. I can't even imagine what it's like with a group of 7-year-olds or a group of 5-year-olds, or even for that matter, a group of 16-year-olds on a Zoom classroom. My accolades certainly go out to all of those groups for their hard work and their dedication to this community.
And again, it's teamwork. It's not only the your departments and the employees of the town and the school department, but it's the residents and the families and children all working together is how you've all been able to get through this and will continue to get through this. Can we remind folks?
Exactly.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we remind folks
Go ahead. Nope.
some of the contact information that you'd like to recommend? So if they're reaching out to the town, they should go to the town website, because there is so much information there. It's pembroke-ma.gov to sign up to be registered for the state, to be able to receive a phone call to get an appointment for a vaccine. It's vaxfinder.mass.gov. Would you like to also offer the phone number for the Council on Aging if folks find that they need further assistance or help?
Certainly, I can grab that. It is 781-293-9484.
9484, perfect. Thank you so much. And we'll offer that information as contact information as well. I'd like to thank all of you for being with us today. If anybody had a final comment, we have about a minute left if anybody wanted to make any final comment before we close out today. Gretchen, did you have something you wanted to add today?
No, I guess I would just tell my seniors to still be vigilant with, if they haven't had both vaccines, to wash their hands, keep their masks on. I think that there's a lot of confusion. Once you get your second shot, you're going to be good to go, and so are we here at the center. But we still need to take precautions because there's still a lot of unknowns, but we have a lot of hope, and I just want to share that we do have a lot of hope. Our newsletter just came out today, so there's a lot of information in there for them. And if you need us, call us. And the number here at the COA is 781-294-8220.
Thank you so much. And again, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today for the COVID-19 update for the town of Pembroke. Please, everybody watching, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.